The Great Scott bids thee welcome to my campsite on the banks of the San Pedro River. What a picturesque area to enjoy a tasty cold beer. Now, I've been warned by locals to be very aware of my surroundings because of the wide variety of animals in the area, like jaguars, bats, the Sonora tiger salamander, and even the western barking spider. Well, being wary of animals reminds me of a story my friend Becky sent me. It's a story from a book titled The Darwin Awards 2 by Wendy Northcutt. The story is told by a guy named Don who worked as a security guard in a hospital. One of his duties was to assist the emergency room staff with difficult patients. And late one Saturday night, he was paged to get to the emergency room. As he rushed down the corridor, he heard increasingly loud screams, but also laughter. Well, he rounds the corner and nearly runs into a nurse leaning against the wall with a pan full of syringes, and she was laughing so hard she was crying. Well, the ambulance had just brought in a very drunken individual wearing nothing but a shirt and a bloody towel around his waist. Now, he was too wasted and in too much pain to say what he had been doing, but his entire crotch area was filled with porcupine quills. It took the doctor the better part of 3 hours to remove them. Ouch! Talk about prickly heat. Well, that kind of story is one I'd normally expect to hear on the podcast Full Circle on Spreaker.com. The co-hosts are Gimpy and Andy, not your typical guy and gal host. They yammer on about the most random stuff like whizzing while you shower or breastfeeding at couples bunko, that kind of stuff. Well, maybe they'd do a show on drunken amorous escapades with wildlife. Hey, enough talk about animals, let's talk about beer. And a quick reminder that this beer drinking podcast does not get into the weeds about all things beer. Basically, just does the beer taste good. And no spouting out about pounds per square inch carbonation, IBUs, filtering systems, germination, etc., etc., etc. In fact, the closest we'll ever get to talking about germination is drinking a German beer. Now, this episode's featured beer is Kingpin Double Red Ale from Bridgeport Brewing in Portland, Oregon. According to the brewery Hype, Kingpin is a full-flavored double red ale that doesn't take any lip. It showcases the spicy tone of the Liberty hop grown in Oregon's Willamette Valley, and they start with malted rye and caramel malts to create its dark red color and distinctive dry character, then triple hop at 3 stages during the brewing, all for an offer you can't refuse. It's available year-round in 6-pack and 12-pack bottles and on draft, and it clocks in at an impressive 7.5% alcohol by volume. Well, time to find out if all that sissy boy talk can be backed up with a solid beer. And really, there's only one way to find out. Let's snap one open. Ooh, that has a very nice aroma. Well, let's get one down the gullet. Hey, that's not bad. Not the best red or double red I've tasted, but it'll work, and I wouldn't turn my nose up at one. A nice effort by Bridgeport Brewery. Well, it's time to start building the campfire here at the old campsite and have another Kingpin Double Red Ale. But before I do, let me leave you with some words of wisdom from musician Frank Zappa, who said, "You can't be a real country unless you have a beer or an airline. It helps if you have some kind of a football team or some nuclear weapon, but the very least, you need beer." That is very well said, Frank Zappa. He could have been a politician. And with that, I thank you for listening to The Great Scott Drinks Beer. Hey, is that a porcupine waving at me over there?